Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Christina.
And I'm Nicole. On our podcast, we delve into the roots of metaphysical wisdom.
That's right, Nicole. Our podcast is all about exploring those fundamental truths and practices that nourish your mind, body, and spirit.
Yes, Christina, we want to make metaphysical concepts easy to understand and accessible, especially for those who don't have a ton of time to do all the research.
Right? We'll do the research as well as share our experiences and perspectives, hoping to empower you, our listener, to find balance and magic in your day-to-day.
Inspired by the essence of the word radical, proceeding from the root, let's explore the roots of well-being and self-healing together.
This is The Radical with Christina and Nicole, two metaphysical girls in the material world.
Hello and welcome to The Radical. I'm Nicole.
And this is Christina.
Today we're talking about the zodiac sign of Leo. This is the last sign since we started our zodiac walk last year. Our third episode, we started with Virgo.
Because that was Virgo season, we wanted to release the podcasts in the season of the zodiac sign.
And so here we are a year later, wrapping it up with Leo. Christina has a list for us, kind of our template of information, tarot, mythology, qualities, all that good stuff. And in the second segment, we'll talk about Leo and our birth charts. I have a couple of musings to share. And then our messages from the universe today. I'm really excited because I got a new deck.
Oh.
I did. For my birthday. It's called the Zodiac Tarot by Cecilia Latari and Ana Chavez.
Oh, I can't wait to see these. I love getting new decks.
It feels like the perfect bridge from season 1 of astrology into season 2 of tarot.
Yeah. I'm going to start the list on our Leo. The dates for Leo are the 22nd of July to the 22nd of August for the year 2025. In that time frame, on July 18th, starting July 18th to August 11th, did you see this, Nicole? Mercury is in retrograde in Leo. Did you see that? I kind of saw this. I was like, I feel like we might have talked about this. The planets are doing all kinds of things, right? Like this past year, because we had that planetary alignment in January. So this Mercury retrograde in Leo causing communication and planning issues. The new moon in the Leo timeframe is July 24th. August 1st is Lunasa, the Wheel of the Year festival. It is the halfway point between the summer solstice and the fall equinox. And it is a harvest festival, the first harvest festival. And it's about wheat and corn and sunflowers and bread. Bake something, make something, go to your farmer's market, your garden, or just go out into nature and feel the changing of this season. Because summer, the growing season is coming to an end. We're moving into the next season. August 9th is the full moon. This is called the sturgeon moon. And it's called the sturgeon moon because the sturgeon fish, particularly the lake sturgeon, were the most easily caught in the Great Lakes and Lake Champlain and other majors of body in North America during this time of year, and that is from the Native American traditions. There's not a lot of sturgeon out there left in those lakes, unfortunately.
I have one date to add.
Ooh.
Well, kind of two. And I can't believe this just now came to my mind. But during Leo season, we have the astrological event called the Lion's Gate.
Oh. Is that the, I want to, 888? Is that the eights?
It is. So the Lion's Gate portal peaks on August 8th,
Okay.
but it's from July 28th through August 12th. And during this time, it's when the Earth and the star Sirius and the Orion belt align. And it's said to create a powerful flow of energy. It's, I think, because Sirius in ancient Egypt was called like the spiritual sun. I think I'm getting that correct. But there's this idea of like the spiritual sun aligning with Earth and this portal opening up, and there's this wonderful type abundant manifestation energy coming down. And the alignment, I think, is exact on the 8th. And that's why 8-8 is the peak of the Lion's Gate portal.
You must have talked about this during our podcast, Portals, Thresholds, and Gateways. Oh my.
I did. Yeah. And my
That's so
nephew was
cool.
born on August 8th. So he's a little Lionsgate baby, but technically I am too. He was just born at the peak.
Oh my gosh. So lots of auspicious dates. Is auspicious the right word?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
During that time of year in our Leo season. The energy of the season, the Leo season, is heart-centered living. Leo is associated with the heart and encourages open and compassionate approach to life, relationships, and a time to nurture connections. It is a time of confidence and self-expression. Think of that Leo lion being confident and expressive, because Leo is ruled by the sun. It's known for radiant energy and a desire to shine. So that's the energy of our Leo season. Heart-centered and confident. The ruling planet of Leo is the sun, just like I mentioned. Exalted planet, exalted in Leo, can be Neptune or Pluto. The detriment in Leo is Uranus, but classically Saturn. And the fall in Leo is none or Mercury. So, listeners, you might find some contradictory information, or you might have found that one of those is true and one of those is false based on your experiences. And I suggest just meditating on it, reading up on it, and finding out what makes sense to you when you're working with the Leo energy and you're looking at your birth chart. The element for Leo is fire. The quality is fixed. The polarity is yang, which is positive, projective. The chakra is the third eye. The day of the week, Sunday for the sun. It's the Sunday for the sun. Oh, and I love this. The number for Leo is 1. I don't think we've come across a zodiac sign that has a 1 yet, because I was like, oh, the number 1 symbolizes new beginnings, independence, leadership, and manifestation. So this is the start of a new cycle, potential for growth, and the power to create one's reality. That is so metaphysical. Embrace your unique potential and take initiative in pursuing your goals. That's the number 1. The body parts associated with Leo, the heart. I just think heart, heart, heart whenever I think of Leo. Heart, spine, and lower back. The color for Leo, golden yellow and orange. It's just like our sun shining brightly in the sky. And I put a note here for crystals. The ruby is also the birthstone for July.
Mm-hmm.
But specifically, when we get further down into mythology, you will absolutely know why cat's eye is very connected to Leo and the sun. And amber. which
Mm-hmm.
was which when the ancient civilizations found amber, they were certain it was the sun encapsulated on Earth, along with the metal for Leo, which is gold. Another element that ancient people called sunshine on Earth. Gold is a soft yellow, naturally occurring metal. AU is its symbol for Aureum, which means golden dawn, or like shining dawn. It's a noble metal. It does not rust. It doesn't lose its shine. And it is yellow. It is yellow naturally. It has been discovered on every continent. It's non toxic. You can eat it. My abuelo had a golden tooth. Have you seen people with golden teeth? You can consume it. And it is very malleable. It can be made into a sheet 1 atom thick. And it
Wow.
can be drawn out into a wire incredibly thin that you can't even see it with the naked eye. Gold is an amazing metal, and it's used as a radiation shield in spacesuits. You look at some science fiction, and when they have their shield down, it's a gold color because it's gold. Because it can be very, very thin and very light and fully reflective. It's an amazing metal. Oh, and all this is from the Wikipedia article on gold. The symbology and symbolism of gold: wealth, power, accomplishment, beauty. It was one of the first forms of currency, and it's a durable form of currency. And all the value that gold has is what we as humans have given it. It is just a metal that came out of the earth, just like anything else that we have mined out of the earth. All the value that it has is because we have given it that based on our feelings about gold. But gold was used as early as 600 BC for its beauty and symbolism. And spiritually, gold, it's radiant and incorruptible. So that naturally linked it to spiritual illumination and representing refinement of the soul and connection to the divine and the pursuit of truth. Another fun article to look at for gold is alchemy and the history of alchemy and what the alchemists were trying to do for years and years and years with gold and other metals. But gold is a fascinating metal.
I wonder if some of the value was assigned to it because it was thought to be the sun on Earth. I had not
Mm-hmm.
heard that before.
I read that article, and then I was talking to Nicole before we hit record, and I showed her that I went and put all my gold rings on. Because then I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, I'm so excited that I have a few little gold things of my own, and I am a gold wearer, and I am very drawn to it. And I went through a silver stage when I was younger, and then maybe in the past 5 years, I've moved into a gold stage. And then I'm just thinking about why I'm attracted to it, how it makes me feel, and what value I assign to it. So, gold is a fascinating part of our history and our culture. The symbolism and mythology of Leo. This is a whole nother fascinating, amazing topic. Tons of articles, tons of information. I am going to just barely scratch the surface to talk about lions symbolizing power, strength, protection, and being guardians. Ancient association with goddesses and big cats. In Sumer, Inanna, the goddess of fertility and war, was called Labatu, which means lioness. Her throne was supported by a pair of lions and sometimes depicted with her foot on the back of a lion. Ishtar, Babylonian version of Inanna, was known as the Lioness of Heaven. The Minoan civilization in Crete had a fertility goddess known as the Mistress of Animals, the Mountain Mother. And you can see depictions of her standing on a mountain flanked by lions. And then Anatolia I shouldn't struggle with that one. That one is an actual location. That's a geography lesson. In Anatolia, the seated woman, a mother goddess, often depicted on a throne with lions, or riding a chariot pulled by lions. So that's another big theme with goddesses and lions, sitting on them or being pulled by chariots with them. Even Freya, her chariot is pulled by giant cats. So cats and goddesses have been linked in a lot of cultures. Also, I cannot not mention in India, Durga riding on the back of a tiger or a lion. And this is something new to me. A final example of this is Asherah. It's a mother goddess and the original wife of El or Yahweh before she was written out of the story by the patriarchy. Asherah was known as the Lion Lady and shares the characteristics of Iana and Ishtar. This area of the world, these cultures all cross pollinated and shared ideas and religions and deities. So it was that this goddess was eventually incorporated into the goddess Katesh. It's a fertility goddess often depicted as standing on the back of the lion. And the connection between lion and goddess could be because of Virgo and Leo. So Virgo being the maiden and the female deity, the grain goddess, the agricultural goddess, right next to the Leo. And that could be why the goddess is being pulled by lions or sitting on lions. But originally, the mother goddess of fertility had the lion's power and the sovereignty and gave the king the right to rule. Over time, the emphasis shifted from the moon and the pole star based cults of the goddess to the new gods. And Joseph Campbell, who we talked about in The Hero's Journey, in his book, Occidental Mythology, explains this concept in depth. But there was a transition from sun gods as female deities to sun gods as male deities. And this was all during a period of mythological development called solarization. And I tried to Google that, but it kept coming up on other on other meanings of that word. So I'm just going to have to go get that Joseph Campbell book and read about it because this is so fascinating to me. But the patriarchal cultures turned the lion, Leo, into an element of the hero's journey and of man overcoming nature, when previous to that, it was something very different. So you take a look at that Leo, the sun, the symbology, the history. It is a very rich historical story behind that zodiac sign. And the glyph is a representation of the lion's mane, has that little curl, the head with the little curl, and the constellation Leo. And this is probably why it has such a rich, long history, because the constellation Leo contains many of the brightest stars in the night sky. And each one of those stars could be seen with the naked eye and were all recorded and individually identified by ancient cultures. The 9 bright stars can be easily seen, and they make the sickle. Are you familiar with that one? That's kind of a common. It's like the Big Dipper. It's one of the common ones you can see really well, which looks like a backwards question mark, and that is the front half of the Leo constellation. Leo's one of the earliest recognized constellations, with archaeological evidence that the Mesopotamians had a similar constellation as early as 4000 BCE. Regulus is the brightest object in the constellation of Leo, and it's right at the nose, or the front half of the constellation, and it is located at the base. So if you see the sickle, It's located at the base of that star pattern. And it's where the head and the four quarters of Leo are. It's a very visible constellation. All right, I'm moving on from mythology and stars.
I've just been like soaking it all in.
It's the fifth house. Leo rules over the fifth house, which is I will. That's the one of the mantras of the house. It is the house of pleasure and creativity, individuality, originality, and impulsiveness in that fifth house. The virtues, or we'll just, that's the word I've been using. So I'm just going to stay with the virtues of Leo energy: charismatic, loyal, energetic, strong, sociable, funny, generous, cunning, optimistic, brave, fast, enthusiastic, and leaders.
Good
Flaws
hair. You can't
and
forget
good
good
hair.
hair.
I remember. I think you're going to talk about this, Nicole. Your son is Leo, or your sun sign is Leo. And we are kind of chatting about it a while ago. And I said to her, I was like, well, I mean, I believe it, regardless of like this information that she was talking about, because I was like, because you have really good hair. Nicole has a beautiful mane of hair. I'm telling you guys.
Thank you so much. I I think I heard that because it is, associated with the lion's mane. Leos are very
Mm-hmm.
proud of their hair. And I just had to say that. I think it's kind of funny. I also think of the words for the high vibrational Leo, um, majestic and regal.
Because the energy of Leo can be embodied in a person, but it also is the energy of the season, and also the event energy that's available to us when we are working with the energy of the season and the energy of the planets and the energy of the zodiac sign. But it is also a description of our Leo, or people who have Leo in their star charts, whether it is their sun, their moon, their ascending, wherever Leo is. And the flaws of Leo are proud, superficial, self centered, arrogant, domineering, authoritarian, frivolous, naive, rash, impulsive, and conformist.
I think a scared Leo, a non
Mm-hmm.
confident Leo conforms, and the self centered, kind of egotistical Leo is certainly a flaw of the zodiac sign.
Mm-hmm. We were chatting about the elements in The Wizard of Oz and the Cowardly Lion and the journey that that character goes through. That's like Leo, right?
Mm-hmm.
It shows the high
Exactly.
vibration, the low vibration, and then the balance, when in the end he becomes generous and compassionate and brave. Tarot cards for Leo. Strength card. Card number 8. And this is a mastery of emotions, power, fortitude, management, endurance, gentle touch, and patience, just to name a few interpretations of that card. I like something I read about that card: using lessons of the past to forge the present self.
Mm,
And then
that's really
something,
good.
and then something else that really resonated with me is self control. How we need to be able to open and close our inner reserves of power. That's, you can look at this symbol, like the card from the Raider White deck of the woman holding the jaws of the lion, and you're thinking about that is the gentle touch, but that's the gentle manipulation of our own power. If you feel resistant to the strength card or it was reversed, you can ask yourself the question: how can I cultivate kindness to others and myself? Kindness. And in the minor arcana, we have the Five of Wands, which is Saturn in Leo, which totally makes sense, which is friction, scattered, lack of focus, strife, strong opinions, the spark of potential inside heated action. And you could ask yourself with that card, what is at stake for me? The Six of Wands, Jupiter in Leo. This is the card where the character is riding on the horse and there's like all the wands in the air and there's a victory laurel. So victory, success, rising up, triumph, blazing hearts, and also more to come. And bringing out the best in others. If you feel resistant to that card or it's reverse, you could write it by asking yourself, how can I inspire myself? The Seven of Wands, Mars in Leo. Courage, inner strength, perseverance, action, energy, advance, advocacy, and standing strong. This could be, that's lots of different imageries with this one. And one of the other decks that I had, the witchcraft deck, it talked a lot about illumination of something new, and knowledge lights the way, but also risk pays off. And the question for this card, where is my advantage? I get you know how when you're doing tarot for yourself, I did a beautiful tarot calendar and I was drawing up to 3 cards a day, and I still have never drawn some cards for myself. And then I went through a period where you kind of get the same cards all the time. It's just kind of what you're going through, but I have gotten all of those cards. I get a lot of wands. Probably because I need to be following my heart's desire, or I'm trying to sort out what my heart's desire is.
And you said you don't have a lot of fire in your birth chart, so maybe elementally, if we think back to the baza and how we need to balance our elementals.
When we do a podcast on the elements, I have a theory about why I don't like skydiving and why I don't like being in the water, why I like to have my feet on the earth. And it's based on how much other elements are in my birth chart. I have a lot of air. I don't like being up in the air. I want to be on the earth because that's what I need.
And I only have one air placement in my chart. The elementals have really captured my attention recently.
And okay, so maybe that podcast will be coming up now, because also I was re-listening to an Ayurvedic lecture and I was talking and I'm thinking about my disposition in my body is very earthy, it's very kapha, for the same reason. Because I have a lot of air in my birth chart. So when I'm aligning my energy in my physical plane, I need a lot of earth in it to balance out the air.
It'd be really interesting to compare the Ayurvedic principles and ideas to the elementals in Chinese metaphysics. Because I think theoretically they're driving towards the same idea. I have a lot of fire, and I think is that Pitta?
Pitta. But then it's interesting how that plays out in what we eat and what we like to do in the physical plane, based on the nature of the elements in our ethereal plane, or in our birth charts
and our constitution.
Yes.
I have a theory that this summertime weather where we live, it makes me very angry.
I was just saying that again, listeners, before we hit record. I was just I needed to talk to Nicole, and I just chattered her ear off for a period of time. And it's because water is in the air right now that I am struggling with stuff. It is humid and it is raining, and I can feel water in the air, and water and cups and emotions is not my thing.
And I don't need extra heat. I am too on fire. So if I step outside, I'm instantly irritable.
And for me, it's not the heat. Like, it's not the heat, it's the water that's in the air that is irritating me. It is that I can feel the humidity, and the rain is making me way too contemplative. I I need the sun to come out and give me some heat and burn this off of me. Anyway, elements. Let's do that one soon. Sooner than later, while all this stuff is fresh in our brains.
I really like that you brought up the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz and his hero's journey, getting the heart and becoming courageous. And what's interesting is a couple of weeks ago, I feel like we had this conversation, Christina, and I said, I'm not really sure I relate to my sun sign anymore. Almost like I've grown out of it and other placements resonate more so. And I think I'm officially taking that back. But many years ago, a friend gave me a coffee mug for my birthday. And it has a little lion on it. It says Leo, and it has the words loyal and bossy, a high vibe and low vibe.
Those are not the two I would have picked for Leo. Loyal and bossy. I wouldn't have. Like, if I had to pick two, like high and low, I would not have even thought of those two.
I think I would have picked different adjectives also. But the bossy part kind of always made me laugh. And I think I said this to you also, Christina, that I kind of viewed my sun in Leo as the unhealed version of me. And I think I said that because some of the low vibrational characteristics of Leo is like wanting attention, wanting to be the center of attention, wanting the limelight, and sort of being self-centered. And I can look in my past and I can see those characteristics. But after doing the notes for today, I can see how I'm stepping away from those aspects and into the higher vibrational type qualities. And it's sort of like what the Cowardly Lion does in The Wizard of Oz. And the Strength card, I really relate to. And it is internal strength, not necessarily brute force. And it reminds me of what we talked about last week with minimalism, the Chinese word sung, which is power from alignment. And it also reminds me, the strength card does, of Dr. David Hawkins and his book, Power versus Force, where ego is connected to force, whereas power is a state where we actually transcend the ego and our thinking mind. And we form a connection to source, our hearts, our intuition. And when we are in those higher states, we're in the states of love, joy, and peace. And that's when the laws of attraction and assumption kick on, because we're being magnets. We're not being overbearing and trying to control and force and take. We are magnetized beings and we're drawing things to us. And I think that is part of Leo's essence, is being able to, it's part of Leo's essence because Leo rules the heart. And it's through the heart that you activate the law of attraction and the law of assumption. The heart's electromagnetic field is approximately 60 times greater in amplitude than the electrical activity generated by the brain. And this is measured by electrocardiogram. The heart is the most powerful generator of electromagnetic energy in the entire body.
Mm-hmm.
The heart's electromagnetic field can be detected a number of feet away from the body and can affect the brain waves of others around us. And all of that comes from the Science of the Heart by the HeartMath Institute. I've heard some sort of like spiritual teachers and astrologers say that the next sort of phase of human evolution is to become more heart-centered, and that our hearts will become essentially our brain. The way that
Mm-hmm.
we think of and use our brain today, humans are going to begin using their heart in that capacity, which I think is just awesome. I think that is the seat of our inner knowing, our wisdom, our intuition, our connection to the divine. And there is a lot of wisdom there. There's a lot of power that we can tap into because the ego is more so in our thinking mind. It's not in our
Mm-hmm.
heart.
I think the raw material is already there. We don't know how to say that we're listening to our heart yet. Why I'm making this decision and I'm saying I'm making it with my heart and not my brain. Like, I think we're doing it. We just don't have we just don't know we're doing it, maybe, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And I would say also that there's probably some fear present because in our society and in our culture, we think about our decisions. Thinking is so prized. We have intellectual type approaches to problem solving. We make a pro and con list. We make a spreadsheet. We use our words and we journal about it. We call a friend and we vent. And so I think it's kind of scary to make heart based decisions, maybe because we're worried about what other people will think about us.
Mm-hmm.
There is that saying, use your head over your heart.
Yeah. And also, the heart being confined to matters of romantic love. We've got to grow our thinking outside of that. That the heart isn't just for that type of love, or love, or love. Like, other languages have multiple words for love and the different types of love. That the heart isn't just that partnership romantic type of love. It doesn't just rule that. It's so much deeper and so much more than that.
I agree with that too. Christina mentioned the full moon on August 9th in the sign of Aquarius. The full moon always opposes the sun sign. So with the sun in Leo, the moon will be in Aquarius for the full moon.
And we just talked about why that is, because we just did phases of the moon, because the moon
Yes.
is on the opposite side of the earth, so it's in the opposite star constellation.
Yes. And this would be considered an opposition, a 180-degree opposition as an aspect. And the feeling or the energy of an opposition is kind of like a tug of war. So, two things wanting to be true at the same time. A full moon offers the illumination of the shadow aspects of the two signs involved. It's like the light from the full moon is shining a light on the full range of high vibrational and low vibrational qualities of Leo and Aquarius. And then you kind of have that tug of war energy. So, what is kind of really happening is an invitation to integrate the seemingly opposite qualities or truths. Aquarius, I love this imagery that I heard recently. Aquarius is sort of like the electrical wires that we see above ground. They connect the collective, and They're on a higher plane physically. And that represents the plane or the realm of our thinking, our thoughts, our reason, our
Hmm.
intellect, and that it's an air sign.
I like that. That's helpful.
Yeah, I thought it was really helpful. And then with Leo, we have warmth, radiance, heart centered power, as opposed to the mental realm, the brain centered power. And with heart centered power comes a connection to our intuition, the divine, to wisdom, to our inner knowing. So, some themes to work with during this full moon in Aquarius, looking at what our ego is saying. These things are usually shoulds and labels, and comparing that to what our heart's saying, which is kind of hard. That requires
Mm-hmm.
being quiet and still and listening to the whisper. But it usually feels more like our truth when it's kind of the Leo voice versus the shoulds and the labels coming from our ego. When I was in my 20s, I thought I should have a certain type of job and own a house and get married by the time I'm 30 and have kids. I should do all these things and I should have a certain job title, a label. I should be a homeowner, another label. I should be a wife, a mother, just labels, labels, labels. And this also brings to mind the theme of being versus doing. In our being state, it's easier to hear what our heart's saying. And when we're constantly doing, we're in that busy energy of the mind. So it's sort of reconciling these energies during the full moon. And there's nothing wrong with being a homeowner or a wife, but it's a good opportunity to look at what your mind is saying, what your ego is saying, and comparing it to your heart. And then I wrote down 3 places where I have Leo in my chart.
3?
Yes. And one of them I learned about, I think within the last 2 weeks. This is funny. So I wrote down in typical Leo fashion. This was the first section I worked on. I was like, yay, I get to talk about myself. So my sun is in Leo. This is its domicile. So where Leo functions most naturally and powerfully. And this is in my 9th house of higher education, long distance travel, spirituality, and metaphysics. I kind of keep going back to the cowardly lion and getting his courage. What I have come to really, I think, appreciate with Leo, or what I have kind of learned from doing these notes, is having an ego isn't bad. Having courage isn't bad. Being a leader isn't bad. I think for so long, for some reason in my mind, these were not good things. And it might
Mm-hmm.
be because I'm a woman. I'm supposed to please other people. I'm not supposed to put myself first. I'm supposed to sit quietly and do what I'm told. I'm not supposed to have confidence and speak my mind and roar and put myself out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not supposed to be authentic and have a voice where I express myself. And, I'm part of a program that talks about deflating our ego and becoming humble. And I've thought recently that, well, I started off with a pretty deflated ego. I started from a place where, kind of everything I just shared, I would kind of minimize myself and make myself small because that was sort of the messaging I got from society. With Sun in Leo, embracing natural self-expression with confidence and courage to creatively put themselves out there. When I first read this years ago, I was like, that's so hard. I can't put myself out there. I can't be unique or different. You know, there was sort of this like danger type feeling to that. Like that feels risky to be different.
Mm-hmm.
But as Leos move towards self-acceptance and loving themselves as they are, warmth and vitality emerge from their spirit. So it's not about like, oh, I need this big inflated ego. I need to be seen and heard. But it's having the right size ego, self-acceptance, self-love. And then from that place, there's warmth and vitality. There's sort of natural leadership. There's this magnetizing that happens. It's not about being bossy or domineering or having a forceful way. It's just having the right sized ego and being uncompromising in how Leos want to move through life. And then my MC is in Leo. The
Mm.
MC is the cusp of the 10th house. This is an angle in astrology, and this is measured based on the horizon at the time of your birth. The MC stands for medium Colli, which is the midheaven. And on your birth chart, it's at the 12 o'clock position. And this, the 10th house, is the house of legacy, public persona, your reputation, how you gain prominence and recognition. And so our MC sort of represents that public self. And I learned this today. My MC in Leo trines my natal Uranus in Sagittarius. I also learned, because Leo and Sagittarius are both fire signs, all the elements trine each other in the birth chart because they're all 120 degrees apart. So all water signs trine each
Mm-hmm.
other. I didn't know that. It makes total sense.
Because I generally don't look at it as a circle. I look at it as a straight line. So when I look at it in a circle, I'm like, of course. Yeah, trines, because there's three water, 3 fire, 3 earth, and 3 air. Yeah.
Yeah. So this placement just means that I have emphatically declared no thanks to the narrative arc of societal expectations. I love that. I was reading about that placement, and it's like coloring outside of the lines. It's doing what your heart is calling you to do instead of following a scripted path. And then my third placement, which was new to me, my part of fortune is also in Leo in my 10th house.
Mm.
And you can ask the internet to calculate your part of fortune. It's derived from a formula using the degrees of your sun, moon, and rising sign. But what it represents is where you're supported by fate or fortune when acting in alignment with your inner nature. And this point of fortune is right next to my MC, suggesting that I cannot separate my work life from my personal life. They're going to kind of overlap. And that's where my joy will come from. And this conjunction is trine my North Node in Aries because it's another fire sign.
Oh, all the fire.
So I had a lot of fun looking at my chart today and seeing all this like richness and all these layers. And this has probably been one of my favorite things about doing a season of astrology and walking through the zodiac wheel and learning little bits as we went through the year, because I can promise you, when we did episode 3 on Virgo, I did not have the ability or the knowledge to do this.
Yep.
And it's been amazing in 1 year, the knowledge I've gained.
Yeah.
And if I can do it, anyone can do it.
We need to do another year. But we'll be weaving it into everything, listeners. We'll always be talking about zodiac signs. We'll be in tarot, and I'm telling you, I'll be talking about Leo when we're on the strength card, just like we're talking about the strength card when we're talking about Leo. It's all connected.
And my 5th house is empty. The house ruled by Leo.
I have my Venus. Venus is in my Leo in the 3rd house. I want to do a podcast on Venus. There's more to that planet. There's more to that symbology and that history and that mythology. I'm barely scraping the surface on that. I want to know more. But this is, I looked around and read different points of view on this until I found something that really resonated with me, as we all should do. We should all be interpreting our own star charts and finding out what resonates with us. And what I found, which is true for me with this placement, is in this area that I like creative and expressive communication. I'm more drawn to intellectual conversation and exchange of ideas, and I desire strong relationships. And I really like this bit. I love of travel, particularly short trips. Now, my Sagittarius is my moon, so I have a love of long trips too, but this is another strong placement for travel and love of travel, which I love. So that was my Venus in Leo. And then my 5th house, I have Pluto and Uranus in Libra. So my 5th house, my house of pleasure and I will, Libra. So I have to have it balanced. I have to be moderate, even in that. But it essentially would be that I approach creativity, romance, and self-expression, but I need to have a sense of harmony and balance and beauty. That resonates with me. So that totally makes sense. I get it. But I think Venus in Leo is a strong placement, and I know very little about it, and I want to know more.
I feel like Pluto and Uranus in the 5th house are definitely like coloring outside of the lines. I want to know more about that.
Is it Libra? But then put the scales on top of it, and I can't just go all out. That's me, listeners. I know thyself. I know myself. Everything has to be balanced.
So fascinating. So for our messages today, you have a choice. I have 3 cards, so you can pick card 1, 2, or 3 like normal. However, I did write 3 questions. So if you want to listen to each of the 3 cards as like answers to the questions, you can do it that way too. So the first question for Leo season is, what energy will help me connect to my heart? And we have the 9 of Wands, moon in Sagittarius. Christina.
Wands, they're coming for me.
And your moon is in Sagittarius.
Yes,
so
it
there
is.
you go.
That's one of my cards. You know how we have like moon in Sagittarius, 9 of Wands is one of my cards.
The moon reflects our intuitive and intimate side. When it encounters Sagittarius, like in the 9 of Wands, our dreams are marked with the dynamic energy of the sign. The 9 of Wands represents a break, during which we can focus on the next move that will lead us to achieve our goal. Here, intuition is connected to planning and precision, like an arrow shot from a bow. In the card, there's also a great force, which allows us to firmly go back on the attack, even if we are injured. In addition, the moon often refers to home. In Sagittarius, our home can be in unusual places, like on the seaside, in the trunk of a tree, or an abandoned hut. Wherever you find space to rest, Sagittarius will protect you so that you can regain your strength for a new adventure. Keywords: refuge, recovery, break, regaining strength. The second card, what energy will help me release the grip of my ego? And we have the Nine of Pentacles, Venus in Virgo. My Venus is in Virgo.
What?
In this card, we meet Venus, which is strongly connected to the major arcana card of the Empress. Harmony, beauty, and pleasure are intertwined here, with the message of Virgo related to care, daily work, and attention to small things. In the card, a woman is seen in her garden. It seems that she is enjoying a moment of rest. The card suggests that we can finally enjoy what we have long cultivated because it is now bearing fruit. A card of independence, the ability to savor what has been won, urges us to really enjoy what we have achieved without depriving ourselves of anything. Venus gives the Virgo sign the ability to fully savor the fruits of our labor. Keywords: independence, abundance, refinement. And the third question is, how can I align and integrate to the highest available frequency? And this is the Two of Pentacles, Jupiter in Capricorn. The Two of Pentacles card refers to each person's ability to find balance in daily life between commitments, private matters, fun, relationships, finances, and work. Interestingly, this card features Jupiter, Lord of growth, expansion, and luck, and Capricorn, whose energy relates to hard work, commitment, and the ability to set limits. Finding them together here means that we must pay attention to these different inclinations, which can alternate in our days. The balance between these two poles will bring satisfaction and well-being. Keywords: daily balance, the ability to juggle, and small chores. Thank you, universe.
I love those cards. Good messages.
Yes, they felt very appropriate for the upcoming full moon. That's what I heard. And we will be back next week for our final episode of season 1.
Yeah.
So we will talk to you then, listeners. Until then, thank you. We love you. Take care. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Radical. The Radical is written and produced by Nicole and Christina.
Listener questions can be emailed to us at theradicalpodnc@gmail.com.
Our Instagram is The Radical Pod.
Music by Van Horton. His Instagram is Van Horton Music.